Well, hello there, ladies and gents. I'm Tammy Sapnewski, your crypto queen. Thank you so much for popping by my channel. And today we're going to go through the highlights of the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee testimony about what to do about cryptocurrency. So these are the people that are going to write the legislation when it comes to the regulations on cryptocurrency. The only job of a government is to protect its citizens. So they want to put up guardrails to keep bad actors out of the space and protect its citizens. Now, they got four people testifying, of course. Most famously is Kevin O'Leary. They had a professor who wants to completely ban cryptocurrency. They had another one that was pro cryptocurrency. And the actor, I forget his name, I have it written down, Ben McKenzie. He was the guy, the cute guy from Gotham. Apparently, not a fan of cryptocurrency. But so we're going to get to some of the highlights, the important parts, and of course, the drama. One of the big points that I actually didn't know is that Kevin O'Leary was paid $15 million to be a spokesperson for FTX. So let's get to this testimony right here.
Nearly 3 years after I started allocating capital to the crypto sector, I entered into an agreement with FTX to be a paid spokesperson. I was paid approximately $15 million for these services, plus approximately $3 million to cover the portion of the taxes due. Of the remaining amounts, approximately $1 million was invested in FTX equity and approximately $10 million in tokens held in FTX wallets. The equity is now most likely worthless, and the accounts have been stripped of their assets and, interestingly, financial records.
Okay, so then he goes through the whole, boo-hoo about how he lost his money, like everybody else. Another little bit of drama here is the fact that he's trying to completely basically pin the collapse of FTX on CZ from Binance. Now, we've covered this in a few prior videos where, CZ put out that tweet, and then that was followed by the collapse of FTX. Does this mean that CZ did it? No. I mean, there's things that he definitely contributed to that, but let's hear Mr. O'Leary's point of view as to why this happened.
Here, and then we kick them out of the country so they do their work somewhere else.
So let me ask you directly. You were an investor in FTX, and I know you've spoken frequently with Sam Bankman-Fried over an extended period of time. Why do you believe FTX failed?
I have an opinion. I don't have the records. Here it is. After my accounts were stripped of all of their assets and all of the accounting and trade information, I couldn't get answers from any of the executives in the firm, so I simply called Sam Bankman-Fried and said, "Where is the money, Sam?" He said,
"Where's the money, Sam?"
He had been refused access to the servers. He no longer knew. I said, "Okay, let's step back. This is a simple case in my mind of where did the money go?" And I said, "Sam, walk me back 24 months. Tell me the use of proceeds of the assets of your company. Where did you spend it?"
Well, we know that he spent $15 million on you, so you could just X that right out of the amount right there.
And then he told me about a transaction that occurred over the last 24 months, the repurchase of his shares from Binance, his competitor. I didn't know this at the time, but at some point, CZ or Binance, who runs Binance, purchased 20% ownership in Sam Bankman-Fried's firm for seed stock. And then over time, and I asked him, what would compel you to spend $2 billion was the number he was giving me at that time. Later, in a subsequent conversation, about 24 hours later, he told me it could have been as much as $3 billion to buy back.
That's a huge discrepancy in numbers. It's not like it's, a few $100s you messed up. Going from 2 billion to 3 billion, that's a big, huge difference.
The shares from CZ. I asked him, what would compel you to do that? Why wouldn't you keep your assets on your balance sheet? And why would you offer this to just one shareholder? He said, because every time we went to get licensed in different jurisdictions, because you must understand the prize of crypto is to get regulated. For all the talk we say about Bitcoin and everything else, no institutions own this. I work for the sovereign wealth and pension plans. They don't touch this stuff because it's unregulated. Between these two, let's call them frenemies, because they obviously were potentially the two largest shareholders in the firm, they had a disagreement. They had a falling apart. Apparently, according to Sam Bankman-Fried, CZ would not comply with the regulator's request in these different geographies, these different jurisdictions, to provide the data that would clear them for a license. He withheld it, according to Sam Bankman-Fried. The only option the management and Sam Bankman-Fried had was to buy him out at an extraordinary valuation of close to $32 billion, less apparently a 15% discount. That stripped the balance sheet of assets. You ask me why it went bankrupt? Go to the last week. All of a sudden, in social media, CZ is asking for another $500 million. He wants to do a block trade of FTT, or the proprietary token of FTX. Wants it converted back to fiat. Why would you put that out there? You know it's going to push down the pressure. It's going to push down the value of that coin dramatically, and that's exactly what happened. Every trader knows that if you have a large block trade, you go negotiate a clearing price with other buyers and you do the transaction. In my view, my personal opinion, these two behemoths that own the unregulated market together and grew these incredible businesses in terms of growth were at war with each other. And one put the other out of business intentionally. Now,
okay, so like I said, we've covered this on the channel before, and everything that he's saying is true. The only thing that I have a disagreement with is the fact that when he bought back the shares from CZ, he paid CZ in FTT tokens. That's the native token of FTX. And that's why CZ had all of these FTT tokens that he wanted to unload from Binance. That's when he put out that tweet. So if you're paying somebody an FTT tokens, the token that you mint, that doesn't necessarily mean that it was correlated to an asset. They just forked over their native tokens. So that still doesn't explain their liabilities. It simply doesn't explain it to me. But yes, should CZ have done that? No. Did it just escalate the situation and bring it to fruition much quicker? Oh, 100%. Absolutely. There was another good point that Mr. O'Leary had made. I'll just give you the abridged version. Why we need regulation here in this space. Out of all of the entities of FTX that were going through bankruptcy, the only one that made it through was Ledger X. That's because Ledger X was regulated. Now, Ledger X is it's a platform basically where you can do a little gambling with futures and derivatives, and that was regulated. So, of course, because there was guardrails there, that didn't need to go through bankruptcy. Another important part that I want to play for you was at the hour and 41-minute mark, where they're talking about, because, there was a lot of back and forth with this panel. Some people wanted to ban it, and, other people were like, we can't really ban it because, we want to be at the forefront when it comes to innovation, with blockchain and the economy, basically. So no, we really can't ban cryptocurrency. And then there was a discussion of keeping crypto out of the banks and why these people believe they should and why they shouldn't. So let's get to this, because essentially this is what boils down to everything and how they are going to make the architecture of the regulations. Okay, so let's get to this.
Disagree with that or have any other ideas about how it would be regulated? Mr. O'Leary.
The concept of passing legislation that would ban banks from integrating cryptocurrencies and crypto technology, if that were to happen, as an investor, I would short every American bank stock, because it would make it the most uncompetitive financial services sector in the world. The innovation that is coming forward, once regulated, is going to be profound in terms of how it changes the cost, the efficiency, the auditability, the productivity of the banking sector. Just look at things as simple as ACH transfers, how archaic they are.
ACH stands for automated clearinghouses.
Look at the Fed wire.
So let me just stop you there. I only have so much time. So you do not agree with isolating it from the banking system?
That's insanity.
Okay, Ms. Schultz?
No, I also don't agree with isolating it from the banking system. I do think that if I were queen for a day to regulate, I would ask Congress to make some clear lines here with respect to what is and is not a security. And I think a lot of crypto tokens do fall under the category of security, but it's not always clear. I also would ask Congress to draw clear lines as to which market regulator handles secondary trading, giving the commodities segments to the CFTC and the security segments to the SEC. That should put good guardrails in place in order to apply similar risk frameworks to similar risks.
Thank you. Mr. Shankman?
If we allow cryptocurrency to infect our banking system, we will be back here.
Thank
We will
you.
be back here, not in a good way.
And Professor Allen, anything else to add? So I'm going to,
Okay, that's basically all the highlights that I'm going to play. I don't want to keep this video too long, but with this understanding, there were some senators who really understood cryptocurrency. Well, maybe not really, but like they have the basic gist of cryptocurrency. And then there were other ones that you could tell they were just, missing the point. I think it was Senator Warner when he was talking about Bitcoin, he was talking about the clunkiness and how inefficient Bitcoin is. But Bitcoin was never written to be efficient. It was meant to be a peer-to-peer digital currency, right? If you want efficiency, that's what we have layer 2 solutions for, like the Lightning Network. Now, when we talk about the ACHs, the automated clearinghouses, that's what Visa and MasterCard use to, when you purchase with them, they get the money from your bank. When you have Visa on your debit card, it goes through an automated clearinghouse. The Lightning Network would be able to conduct like 1 million transactions per second. And that's a layer 2 on top of Bitcoin. And it does it efficiently and it does it cheaply. So I think one of the reasons why Ben McKenzie was there is because I believe him to be an environmentalist. He wanted to talk about how much energy Bitcoin uses and, how it's bad for the environment. So I think that's probably why he was there. He was one of the 2 people that were con cryptocurrency. So I think, when it comes to crypto, there definitely has to be legislations written. Definitely. I mean, we can't go unregulated forever because there's just too many bad actors in the space. We know this. We see how many rug pulls take place. I would like to see regulations where every dev getting into the space, there's no more, these guys aren't KYC'd. They're not doxed. They're just some nameless, faceless person who at any moment can mint a bunch of extra tokens and run off with everyone's money or do something that hurts the investor. So I think that's definitely, when it comes to DeFi, that has to be probably the biggest thing. Dev's got to be KYC'd. We know that enough. Well, that's going to do it here for me today. I thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, please take care of yourself.